So what do you actually get to show up and do, which I think is really powerful for you. So finding 2 people who are expanding you into new possibilities around money. So one could be me and being in relationship with me and expanding you into new possibilities with money, but choose someone else too, and ideally find another person. So that would be 3, right? People who are playing a bigger game and more possibility, and watch what they do. Who is doing what you want to be doing and making money at it and loving life? Go be near them. Go spend time with them. See if they will, in some way, shape, or form, even mentor you if that's a possibility, or at least be close enough to them where you can watch them and get curious and really understand, how do they show up in excellence every day? What does that look like for them? What are the mechanics of that, so that you can start to embody some of that too? For me, that person, like one of the people I really hold high and is an expander for me, is Amanda Francis. She runs an 8-figure money mindset business coaching business, and she has a small team and her, and she literally, like, her whole commentary is money gets to be easy to make. The more money I make, the easier it is. That's literally one thing she says constantly, and I love it, because that for me really expands me into that possibility of, running an 8-figure business, no problem, not a big deal. It's cool, it's easy, right? And so that excites me and lights me up. So I watch her content online. I have bought some of her courses. I'm really just embodying, okay, what does someone who shows up and runs an 8-figure business look like, feel like, sound like? I can see now that it's possible. And there's one of 2 ways that sometimes we operate in the world around when we see that happening. Most of the time, in most scenarios, we compare. Like, I could show up and compare myself to her and be like, man, she's doing it already. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Like, I could really go down a spiral of, what am I even doing? She's already doing it. She's already, like, cornered the market on it. Or I can show up and just calm within myself around knowing that what we do is slightly different. Our backgrounds are very different. She came from a therapy background. I come from a finance background, very different, right? Our style of teaching, very different. And our goal is the same, which is very powerful. It's empowering to know that someone else out there is doing essentially what I want to do long term in a much different way. And so if we're doing both similar things in different ways of teaching, it's very powerful. And we get to change the world around us. So how awesome to have someone that's already proven that it's possible. Like, that's what the new dialogue in my brain is looking at when I'm looking to expand into new possibilities. Find who those people are for you and what it means for you. Like, if you don't want to be a billionaire, cool. Don't follow and look at a billionaire. If you just simply want to live this life of very cool, calm, collected peace and able to pay the bills and able to save a little bit, and it's just very much at ease and living in the mountains or wherever, and it's very simplified, awesome. Like, find the person doing that already and embodying that, and allow yourself to really get curious in how they go about that, or how they got there even, and ask questions. The last piece of this is really about ownership. So speaking back into the radical ownership and knowing that what we don't own, what we don't recognize or create awareness around, owns us. And I want to speak into how that looks a few different ways in my own life and has looked over time, and why I sit here as a finance coach. It's because I've probably been there, probably done it, probably experienced it. So for me, there's this internal battle of imposter syndrome a little bit around, oh my gosh, I know exactly how this person feels as they describe it because I've been there before, I've done that, right? And I think there is this ego part of us that wants to believe that we're perfect, and that's why we're coaching others, or that's why we're doing our thing and that we're skilled in it. It's like, no, it's because we've been through it. It's because we've experienced it, and that's what makes us an expert in it, and that's what helps us pull people through what they're going through. But there's a little piece of me still that's like, I feel like I should be more perfect at this, right? So that's where the work still is for me, is really mastering this ability to own it, to own fully and completely my own journey, and sharing that and experiencing that for others and showing them it's possible to get on the other side of that obstacle. So that could look like a lot of different things, but owning your own experiences and journey around money are really, really important. And the first one that I want to speak into is, for me, like being a recovering shopaholic. So owning that, yeah, if I show up in a mall for 8 hours with some girlfriends, it's going to go down. And knowing that I participated in that shopaholic-isms in the past, it doesn't feel good. There's some guilt, there's some shame around it, right? But the more I speak it, the more I name it, the more I create awareness around it, the more I can heal it, the more I can show up powerfully in my boundaries or saying no if I need to. I don't need to do that anymore, but it's also not an activity that I do anymore because it doesn't fulfill me. And I know why I was doing it in the past. And now that doesn't appeal to me because I've healed a lot of parts of me that were wounded around the why I was shopping to begin with and why I was doing all of those things to begin with. So in knowing that that activity doesn't serve me anymore, yeah, I can go have a 2-hour shopping experience with a friend and like buy one thing and be cool. But even when I am in those moments, it still comes up. And so owning it every single time it comes up is very, very powerful. The other example I have is even with bankruptcy. So knowing that within 2 years after bankruptcy, I couldn't tell a soul. Like I could not talk about it. I would either just have a complete breakdown talking about it, or I would get really defensive talking about it. Like, here's the reasons why I had to do it, right? And so that didn't serve me or the other person in sharing. And in being able to heal that part of me where I get to show up vulnerably and it's scary, and acknowledging with someone else who has a lot of debt maybe that, you know, it's okay and I've been there and it's hard and I get it, is another way to kind of heal my money wounds around that, right? And so find what those are for you and own them. Be able to speak about them. In conclusion, we want to find 2 expanders into possibility, 2 people that are doing what we want to do or have some sort of way of being with money that allows us to see what's possible. And we want to acknowledge and have radical ownership around where we just get to own whatever our truth has been previously, whatever victimship maybe we were in, or whatever guilt or shame we may have around money. Own it, be able to speak it, name it, and allow ourselves to heal from it and really start the process of renaming things. In being able to speak around bankruptcy or like being a recovering shopaholic, it's naming it, having a name, acknowledging it, having grace with myself with it, and now sharing it has been my full circle journey, and still digging into that, you know, making sure there's no roots to that left, and making sure that I am fully owning it and showing up with that information when it's necessary for someone else to hear, even though every time it's a little bit scary. And so I think that's where the power is held, and to get your power back around those areas and around those limiting beliefs so that you can integrate and move into this space of simply money is, and what does that get to look like and be for you as you move forward with this. So with that, let me know if there's any questions, and we will talk again soon.